is a new law that is actually, it's not new. You get what I mean? That is being pushed forward. And the strange thing is this law has actually gone through two administrations. And this law particularly will target, or it's looking to target, car drivers or purchase drivers coming from next year. You heard me correctly. This is being targeted for next year. And so it's kind of interesting the way that they are going about this particular entire whole jazz is that they are looking for technology that can track drivers consistently as they are driving, so that they can see if the person is either drunk or, or whatnot. But this is actually a system that they're trying to build right now. It's cameras and whatnot, infrared and all them type of things. And this is it's positioned for next year. Now, if you've seen over the last 3 weeks, this month, I've been a bit consistent with something. I've been a bit consistent with building the Antichrist series episodes. You remember, I've been doing these episodes of the things that actually exhibits the Antichrist system as you see it in the Bible. And very recently, I think about a week or so back, we did one which was tracking shopping people as they are shopping. And we highlighted the technology and what is happening. You can go and check the playlist. I'll leave it down below if you haven't seen that episode. And yesterday we did one which is a bit different, which is targeting content creators and the social media space. As a matter of fact, their target, the television giants, are tired of the competition of average people. So they want to take the free market and they want to insert themselves. Now, in case you didn't get it on that episode, this is not looking to target YouTube only. This, they stated very well that they want to be before every platform that young people are at. Okay? So it is more broad than YouTube. So it targets creators everywhere. Another thing that I thought people didn't understand from that episode, that I saw some comments, was that maybe it's only targeting news because BBC is news. No. Remember, the BBC has a huge variety of channels. They have entertainment channels, cooking channels, what you name it, history. They do all kinds of content. That's the library that they want to showcase on here with priority. They want every area. It's not just news. Don't get it twisted. Okay? So ITV and all these particular platforms that are saying that they want to be prioritized, they have libraries. They have multiple channels that produce multiple type of content. So I hope now you understand what that episode really was thinking. So on this particular episode, I want to show the depth of what they want to do in this system pertaining car tracking of people. So there is this law, and they're really trying to push for this thing. I mean, like, it went through, if you go to the government, to the congress.gov thingy, you'll see here where it actually speaks about these efforts, infrastructure and da, 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 da. So this is where you see the frameworks of these ideas that they were already trying to build into. This is actually looking to deal with cars, safety, what, and all of that entire stuff. It has a whole lot of things that it covers. And so very interesting out of this, if you check up at the top right there, it says it: house, transportation, and infrastructure. So this committee, or these particular laws that they're trying to pass through car manufacturers, particularly target that, right? Now, I want to also give a little bit of a disclaimer here before we go into this episode. The NH, what do they call it? NHTSA, which is the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration, has also posted a couple of reports pertaining pertaining the subject matter of how they're trying to have people be safe and whatnot. But they had a due date for this bill, okay, this bill to kind of pass these laws to put cameras in people's thingy. They had to set the rules around 2024. So this was about 2 years ago, and that deadline has come and has passed. So that tells you something. So this was not something that was very recent. This was something that was there during the period of Joe Biden. Now, very interesting is that now with Trump, it's now going through 2 different administrations. And so that's very interesting because that tells you when something is likely to get passed. Note what I said. That's where you know something might get passed here if it has gone through 2 different administrations. So the idea is to have these cameras. Most people's debate is that the cameras is the data that these devices or technology going to be transmitting out, meaning the data that it's collecting, is it going to go off from the system in the car? Or is it just going to detect and only send warnings like beeping or something like that to the person who's driving? The technology is aimed, okay? The technology is aimed at tracking when you are either not focused or you are not looking and all that entire jazz. And the goal of that is so that they can be able to see if a person's focus is affected and possibly shut down the system of the car remotely. Okay, that sounds crazy. Now, as I mentioned, that this particular idea, by the way, this particular technology, the NHTSA have clearly stated that the technology for this type does not yet, it's not there. And even at a very high rate of being able to track this data, it can give false positives. That's the worry. That's the biggest worry. Because imagine the car shuts down, the person is panicked because they're driving someone to the hospital and all that kind of stuff. So it can give false positives because it might misinterpret the information that it's reading inside. We're not even talking about whether it will beam the information out to a server somewhere and whatnot. And we know that gets scary, that gets dangerous once information gets taken from individuals to be beamed out. And I'll show you examples where that has actually happened before with car manufacturers. Now, remember, I did mention that this was there by the time of Joe Biden, and now it's at Trump's desk. And the fact that it has survived that tells you that it's likely to get passed through. So these rules that they were supposed to push forward by 2024 was supposed to give like a general guideline. Okay, the highway thingy. They were supposed to give a general guideline of what exactly are we looking for when these cameras are installed into these cars. Now, at the moment, technology that does that, the man them say, doesn't exist. But do not get deterred. Do not think that these people will be deterred by that. That only opens the market for capitalists. Now, it opens it to everybody else out there with their technologies. And if you saw the previous episode that we did on the television episodes, you saw individual companies gathering data in order to sell it back to government. And you'll remember that is exactly the scenario of system that you have in the Antichrist period, where it says that the merchants who were benefiting from the system of Antichrist, okay? So I keep reminding you of these things because so that for newer people who haven't watched our older episodes, this is exactly the scenario you would have, okay? The fact that the technology is not there will not deter free market from going out there and developing technologies like crazy, because they know they run to actually create this type of technology will make them the center, which is where patents come into play, okay? Why patents? Because patents which companies file actually can make them benefit from this type of systems. And the funny thing is, currently, 2026, the patents that have been filed are pretty wild. for this kind of tracking information and blah 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 and all that. For example, Ford, you can see this article that is written out here, 26 April 2026, they filed for a lip reading technology patent. You need to read my lips for. He filed for a lip reading thingy. This is an automotive auto blog, what they follow tech within that particular space. So the blog that you are seeing there, that was tracking particular news pertaining that lip reading patent that they Ford went out to file for. And Ford it's not the first time that they filed for some of these wild patents. At one other point, actually, Ford's latest patent lets your truck scan your face and read your lips, and one day it will test against you. So basically, it's this data that it will collect that will allow them, okay, not only just reading the face, as I stated in the beginning, it will read everything in the car, and collect this data in order to use it within this line. Because remember, the idea will be, hey, you know what? These are rules that will help you and bring safety. And remember, what is the promise of the Antichrist? With peace and safety. He gives people safety, or he promises people safety in order to insert himself into their lives. Ford, again, they wanted one for monitoring heartbeat, heart rate. Okay, mandems are going wild. Heart rate, whatnot, tracking data, whatnot, and all that entire stuff, sensors all over. They were working on things like that in order for them to be able to track the driver as they are thinking. Now, Ford is not alone in their patents and their ideas for going for this type of patents and so forth, so that they can benefit if this technology gets thingy and authorized or signed through. Now you'll see why lobbying is such a big deal. When companies fund Congress in order for them to keep pushing for this type of bills, and then these bills get passed, and then they have a patent on the side. You'll remember not long ago we spoke about Mark Zuckerberg's tech, what do you call it? The patent to post when you're dead. You remember that entire thing? By the way, there's another one that we got to talk about that's happening with Meta right now, pertaining Instagram. Very, very interesting one. Settings, you got to change your settings pertaining your Instagram, because they can now use. That's a subject matter of another day. These people are known to do weird things. That's the thing that I'm highlighting here. GM Motors, okay? GM Motors had, this is something that comes from this year, by the way. You can see 2026 April, you can see a GM patent system that detects whether you are impaired by how you walk. So they had this patent. They had it out, okay? They had this out. And GM actually got punished for this thing because apparently they had this thing in a couple of cars, basically. They had this thing out, they had it in a couple of cars in order to detect DIY, whether a person was drunk or was not okay and whatnot. And this particular thing actually landed them in trouble at one point. You'll remember, if you have seen the news. If you haven't, here you go. Why these patterns are so important. You keep tracking, you know them, and you know, if you know the system and you know these people will benefit from this type of things, you are able to track what kind of a system where the Antichrist has such control. You are able to see when it comes. The FTC, okay, Protection for Consumers, right, took action against General Motors for sharing drivers' precise location and driving behavior data without consent. Basically, they started selling this information to, I think, insurance companies or something like that. Yeah, them and them were wilding out. This was last year. Okay, so them tracking this information and using it to make profit, it's not new information. They got fined for that whole thing. I think they were given up to like 5 years for what. Right here you can see the final order. If you can see this part here at the bottom, the final order approved that by the commission imposes a 5-year ban for General Motors disclosure, consumers geolocation, whatnot. So if they are banned for 5 years, what happens after 5 years? Why is them doing that even okay? Yalla, this system is getting crazy out here. And so they were banned from that, but after 5 years they'll just come back and do one other thing or whatnot. There's been other companies as well that have looked for this. This is an article from way back. Toyota, when it wanted to build a thingy for tracking alcohol levels inside the car and all that. Now think about it. A car company has something like that, and it might sound like it's very beneficial for detecting drunk drivers, but then it picks up the scent from someone who's drunk from the back, shuts down the car, from a Bolt driver who's not done anything, but this thing is dead sensitive, and now it picks up smell from someone at the back. What happens then? So these false negatives are the things that have deterred thingy. Hyundai as well once got into trouble, and it was said that they were selling data information that was gotten to insurance companies that they got from tracking a bunch of cars inside thingy. So this, you can see why this information or this idea of them looking for this type of technology to be put by 2027, you can already understand the agency that they already have, right? So it's been a couple of years, I think, or 2-3 years or so, since they've been pushing for this, and they were supposed to make regular rules pertaining this a couple of years back. But if they're saying 2027, they want cars to now be able to do that, that's like next year, bros. Okay? So let's track back here. There's tracking for individuals when they're in the shop. There's tracking, particularly per items, cameras in the shops that actually track behavior and what kind of things that people are reacting to. You saw Walmart's entire television, entire watches, which has cameras on it. It detects what people are watching and whatnot and all of that entire watches. Now, when people are outside of their house, when they're in their cars, and by the way, there was a period where they were talking about when does Alexa know to listen and when does it not know to listen. That entire subject came up. People passed it up. Now they've just gotten used to it. And that's what always happens, is that there's a time when people are alert, and then people just kind of forget about it, and then you can sweep it under the rug. Don't mind that. It's not a big deal. And before you know it, it's normal for people to have devices that are listening to them. They're refrigerators that have screens and microphones and whatnot and all that, all type of thingy. I think at one point I spoke about a smart television that was kind of like beaming out information and whatnot. Previous, way back episode. I think I did that episode in 2024. This type of system, you can see how it integrates into the Antichrist system. Imagine a period where the data on your refrigerator, you remember those refrigerators that can tell you what items you have inside the thingy, and if you run low, it can actually place the order. You remember that? Now imagine that's the case, and the type of the Antichrist system is now here. What would it do when you now have data that tells the system what you have in your refrigerator, what you're doing in your car, what you are watching? Already they're doing it with the cell phones. Already they're doing it with cell phones. And you see what Google and them over there were doing with wanting to restrict certain apps on the phones, which Apple already does, by the way. Apple already does. And Google ended up having to cancel that particular thing. If you saw that episode when I said Android phones might be what, they ended up banning that thing because they saw they were not going to win the argument. It was a no-no. But with this here, you can see the system keeps growing legs. It keeps growing legs, and it's now reaching to a place where cameras put into the car to watch people as they are driving. They already have cameras or motion detections that track people as they are coming up to their cars. And they were already selling it. The system is there. The system has been built. It's there. All that it is waiting for is for the person to come and run the entire thing. There were days when, these things sounded like conspiracy. Now it's not even conspiracy. It's just there. It's just there. It's like, boom, right in front of you. Yeah, tell me your thoughts down in the comment section. I do love bringing up this particular episode because I know this type of information, many people might not even follow it up. Personally, I do follow this type of information. I follow a lot of geek information, news and whatnot. So I'm able to see all this news that you probably will not see everywhere. And I like showing it because it helps the average person know what the Bible tells us to watch for. We keep watch on that, you'll see the coming. You don't need to be placing dates like about Joshua and all that. You don't need to do that. You watch the system as it unfolds. You watch the system as it unfolds. It shows you, wow, the Bible was really right about this thing. The Bible was really right about this thing. Tell me your thoughts down in the comment section, and I must see you on a later on episode. Y'all have a blessed